I know. You guys like this channel because of my voice. I get it. But today we're going to be going a little bit uh, off the beaten path, if you will. So if this is interesting, if you like talking about end time stuff, then this is the channel for you. We think outside the box. So one of my very first videos for this YouTube channel, Black Swan Revelations, was centered around the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. And I remember not admiring necessarily, but I was very curious as to how President Zelensky rose so fast. You know, because he is the 6th president of Ukraine, and I know in the book of Revelation it talks about someone coming into power for the 6th, and there's actually seven kings, if you will, and then the 8th must come in, the 7th must come in for a short time, and then the 8th comes back, which is really the 6th, but is actually the 7th. So he becomes the 6th and the 7th. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if Russia's going to put some kind of a puppet president back in, because remember the president before Zelensky, the people basically forced him out, and he fled to Russia. I always thought maybe that guy can come back for a short time, and you know, if let's just go off the theme, if Zelensky was the Antichrist and got assassinated and then came back to life, I think that would set up perfectly with his U-24 agenda that he wants, which is basically creating a powerful agency that is more powerful than the United Nations. And this is his own words. He wanted to create a U-24, which basically allows him to walk into any country in the world in less than 24 hours. So if there is a problem, he will have the resources, the military capability to walk in less than 24 hours. So if you do something, if you're in a country that does something against his wishes, then he would crush you before the next day is over. This is what he is saying. You can find this stuff on YouTube. Just type in U-24 and all this kind of stuff. So, and I believe that one day he probably will have a nice building in Ukraine, and Ukraine is going to be a superpower. This is just my humble prediction. But what's interesting is, again, I don't watch the news at all. I just hear a little bit about what people are saying and stuff, and I don't know anything about this organization called the BRICS. I couldn't even begin to guess. I think maybe I can guess. I don't even know what the acronym is. A bunch of countries. Anyways, what's interesting is Ukraine created a Lego figure called Citizen Brick, which is interesting. And they sold out. They sold like 145,000 of these figures and sold out. And they're images of President Zelensky. Images. Who else wants an image in the future? Anyways, but he's made out of Lego bricks. And in Isaiah 9:10 talks about the bricks have fallen, the bricks have fallen. This is a prophetic curse. If you pronounce that, you're going against God. You're going against God, because what you're saying is, if we are torn down, we're going to rebuild bigger, better, faster, stronger than before. Almost like the $6 million man, if you will. We will build them better. So I just thought that's kind of a coincidence. What else? Oh, in Genesis, we see after the flood that they were creating a tower made out of bricks in an area around Shinar, I believe. And they said, let's make bricks and let's burn them thoroughly, meaning we need them to support the weight. Like they're going to go high, they're going to go big, and they're going to go high. And there used to be tons of buildings that were made out of bricks, and they went really high. And it's interesting that that's there. And then also Israel was a slave in Egypt for 400 and some years. I think 430, 480 years. And if you line that up, it's kind of, I'm just throwing this out. If man's day was numbered at 120 years, that would mean Noah was 480 years old when he began building the ark, which would mean that it took him about 120 years to build the ark, because when he was 600 years old, the ark was finished, and then the flood came. So there's another movie called The Bricks. I think it came out in 2022, last year, I think. Talking about heroin. That's another code word for heroin, is bricks, about the size of a brick. And this guy goes undercover. It's just an independent film. Goes undercover, and for 7 days, this movie takes place over a period of 7 days. So sometimes I think there are angelic beings in spiritual places, principalities, powers, rulers of the air, that are either they're teasing us, they're mocking us, or they're giving us hints, whether good or bad angels, as to what's coming down the pipes in the future. We have Blue Beetle, which is a superhero that basically is possessed or whatever and takes over this suit and all this kind of stuff. And there's all this talks of fires being started by blue lasers and all kinds of stuff all over the world. And I don't know, maybe there's something to that. Maybe there's something to using lasers to start fires and different things. Maybe this stuff, maybe a lot of these fires are created by man at the beginning, and then they just went out of control. It's so hard to tell. It's so hard to tell. There's always clouds all the time. Like, it's hard to see the stars at night. And I don't remember it being like that before. But if there was a fire, a huge fire, we wouldn't know it, because you have to go up in order to see the fires around you, unless there's warnings all over the place. You'd never be able to tell that a fire was imminent. Same thing with a flood. You'd never be able to tell a flood is coming until it happens. That's how the tsunami got a lot of people. They didn't see it coming. Instead, what they did was they took pictures, and they went onto a beach, and they started collecting seashells, looking, oh, look at all these rare gems. This is weird. For hundreds of feet, there's no more ocean. And the people that were in the buildings were yelling at them to get out of there, because there was a massive wave coming, and they couldn't even see the wave. It looked so big that it looked like the sky itself. They couldn't see it because they were at the shore level. So that's when we talk about rapture and end times. This is what we're saying. There's stuff happening. This is why I built my whole YouTube channel around a Black Swan event. And I think the greatest Black Swan event will be the rapture itself, because you don't know when it's coming and all this stuff, and the world's going to be caught off guard. The Christians aren't, at least the ones that believe in a pre-trib. The ones that don't believe in a pre-trib, and let's just say they want to be left behind, because there's a lot of Christians that are like, yeah, I don't believe that. I think we need to go through the tribulation. We need to go through Jacob's trouble, and we're just going to survive, and then the last ones left standing are going to be saved. Meanwhile, Jesus is saying if he didn't come back, nobody would be left on earth. So what are we talking about here? Why are we still saying that we need to go through this tribulation when there's not going to be anybody living for God? It's going to be very difficult. If you're starving, you're hungry, you're going to be turning on each other left, right, and center. It's going to be impossible to survive. We're kidding ourselves if you think you can survive what the Antichrist is about to unleash on the earth. And also, I'm not talking about doom and gloom, guys. Like, I've been accused of pacifying, making people feel good by Dalton Thomas. He said that you're by saying there's a pre-tribulation rapture, you're pacifying people. You're making them feel good. You're comforting them. Stop it. He told me to stop comforting the people with these words. You're lying to them. I'm like, how are my words comforting? Like, I've been being blasted by both guys, and they say I'm a brother in the Lord. I say they're a brother in the Lord, but they're like, stop lying. It's basically what doubting Thomas. Why do I always want to call him Doubting Thomas? Maybe it's because they don't believe in a rapture, a pre-trib rapture. They believe after, but it's like, what's the point when there's nothing left on the planet to be like, oh yeah, okay, now we're going to get raptured. There's nothing left. The planet is wiped out, wiped clean. Not very many people left. It's a weird thing to think about when you think about it. It's pretty weird. It feels like you're setting people up by saying, don't worry about it. It's not till after the tribulation. Later. Don't worry about it. That to me is pacifying. That's something, you're not prepping people. Today you should be serious with the Lord. Today you should be reading your Bible. Today you should be focusing on Him. Why? Because you can. You're allowed to. It's legal to talk about the Lord. There will be a day coming where you won't be able to talk about the Lord, even on YouTube. They'll just squash it. Left, right, and center. So that's my 2 cents. Yeah. See you later. Bye for now.